Welcome to the show. I'm Veronica Newfer. My guest today is Commissioner Mary Starrett, and she is here to talk about things that's going on in the county. As you know, there's a lot of changes that have taken place over actually the last couple of years. We went from a highly conservative county commissioners, and it's going to be a little more liberal slanting, and we're going to see how that's going to affect things today. And thank you very much.
Nice to see you, Veronica. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
You swore in just recently, so you have another 2 years. 4 years.
Right.
To get ready for. Oh, right.
Yeah, 4-year terms.
Right.
My second 4-year term.
That's right. That's good.
Yeah.
So we know we're going to at least have one conservative county commissioner for another 4 years.
Well, yeah, we do have a change at the county commission level, and again, it'll be interesting to see how things shake out, but the voters have spoken, and this was what they were looking for, and now we need to work together as a board and always keep in mind the objective, regardless of your political persuasion or your ideology, and that is, at the end of the day, to protect the rights of the citizens. I have a different perspective on what that means. You know, we just took our oaths. We have to swear an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Oregon. Now, that might just be a lot of pomp and circumstances people think you just do when you're bringing new officers in for new terms. I happen to think it means something, and it should mean something, and that every one of those amendments to the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, all the way through the 10th Amendment, really need to be uppermost in the minds of elected officials. And if it is not, that's when we need to call them out. So for instance, if I stand up there and I raise my right hand and I swear to uphold the Constitution, and then we deal with, for instance, something I'm working on, which is near and dear to my heart, is I noticed, now the Fifth Amendment basically protects people from having their property taken by the government without due process. So I noticed that according to Oregon law, and according to what the counties now have to do because of Oregon law, if you, as a property owner, you own a home, you come on hard times, you can't pay your property taxes, let's say you're several years in arrears, and let's say, just for argument's sake, you owe $10,000, $15,000 to the county for your property taxes that you haven't paid. There is a process, it's a rather lengthy one, but there is a process whereby the county then can take your property, sell your property, and keep the proceeds, and everything above and beyond what's owed in back taxes. So while the county doesn't keep all the money, but disperses those proceeds to all the 41 taxing districts, and that means the cities, the schools, all of that, what you've seen is that all of the equity in somebody's home that they've paid on for 30, 40 years now gets taken because they owed a small amount. So I looked at that, and because I consider the Constitution the guiding principle, I said, wait, can we do something whereby if we have to foreclose on somebody, we give them back what's owed after we take our taxes and our fees? So our county legal staff looked into it and said, no, the state of Oregon says we have to take it all and then divvy it up all over the county. And I thought, you know what, that is a Fifth Amendment violation, and what's called the takings clause of the Fifth Amendment that says government can't just take your stuff. That we are only one, Oregon is one of only a handful of states that keeps all of the money from a foreclosure sale. So I started looking into what we could do about it. And unfortunately, the state says, nope, you got to take it all and divvy it all up. So I said, if that's the case, then when we foreclose on a property, we should make sure that property gets turned over to a public benefit agency. So whether it's Habitat for Humanity or the Gospel Mission in McMinnville, then take what you took from those people and give it back to the people to use, because we had no right to take that. When everybody said, oh, you know, it can't be done. Well, we're starting to do that now. And I'm very excited about that. We've done it with the mission. We've done it with Habitat in Newburgh. And
that's what happened. They looked like they expanded.
Well, Habitat for Humanity in Newburgh got a property a home that they are going to now turn around and sell as a, or give as a property to somebody, a low-income person. So there's that. The other thing is I went to Representative Ron Noble, who is an excellent, excellent, hardworking legislator, one of the good guys down in Salem. And I said, can you help us change the law in Salem so we can? In other words, you're going to be leaving your home that you paid everything into, leaving with absolutely nothing. We have then more homeless people, people who maybe are medically fragile or mental health challenges or are old, and we're asking them to leave with nothing, no money, and this way you'd be able to at least get something to start over again and maybe even pay rent. Yeah. So what I've done is we're working on a bill, which, you know, we'll see if the legislators think that it is a worthy bill to say, yeah, we need to give people what is rightfully theirs. In the meantime, I've asked our assessor's office to send out notices to people who appear to be in arrears of their property taxes to say there is there's something called foreclosure avoidance programs. We can help you to keep your house. So we're getting ahead of it so they don't just get boom, now what do I do? And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about working with the Housing Authority to do that. There are a lot of things that are unconstitutional that I think we need to address. And it has to do with life, liberty, and property. And unless we take those seriously, vis-a-vis the oath of office to the Constitution, we're going to continue to see, everywhere you look, violations against those basic rights that were granted to us not by government, but those are given to us by God, and they are memorialized in the Constitution. So yeah, people might say that's an antiquated document and it's, you know, it's a fluid document and we can change it. And I think the reason why people are trying so hard to come to our country is because we are the only country in the history of the world that guarantees rights to people as we do. Government and bureaucracies and unelected officials and agencies all over the country, from the federal, state, local levels, are violating basic rights because they're not adhering to the Constitution. We need to adhere closer to it. We'll have fewer problems because government's gotten a little bit too big for its britches.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, conservatism, because of, I would say, the liberal media has gotten a bad rap, but conservatism is compassionate. The Constitution is meant to be compassionate towards people and limit the size of government. And so, you know, somehow it's gotten flip-flopped where it's believed sometimes the conservatives are the uncompassionate and the liberals are the compassionate, but you just very well explained why it's the other way around.
Well, you know, I think those labels, conservative and liberal, don't mean anything anymore because people who call themselves conservative don't actually hold to conserving, for instance, the ideals in the Constitution. And what we need to do is get away from labels and say, you know what, I don't care what you call me. What I am for is the rights of the individual, as opposed to the rights of government taking more and more of the rights away from us. Call it libertarian, call it constitutionalism, call it whatever you want to call it. But it's, you know, the sort of the liberal perspective, the progressive perspective, if you will, is the rights of the state over the rights of the individual. And that is counter to what this country was founded on.
Yeah. You mentioned something earlier that the people have spoken, that they wanted to change the county the commissioner. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I believe is the you know, Stan, he got in trouble with this bike trail thing, and people didn't like that. And the other guy made himself look like a conservative, a farmer, you know. And I think people thought they were actually electing somebody more conservative, not very liberal, like I understand he is.
You know, people need to do as much homework on the people they are electing to have authority over their liberties and their property as they do homework on buying a new smartphone or a new TV. And they don't do that. If they vote, oftentimes it's uninformed. Oh, I saw a lot of campaign signs, or this person said something that resonated with me. If you haven't done your homework to find out exactly who it is you're putting in charge of your money and your property and your liberties, then, you know, we've heard it said, we get the government we deserve.
Yeah.
And we have to just work at becoming more informed as an electorate. People will vote for who they want to vote for, and we hope for the best.
One of the things you brought up when you were first running was that we needed to keep our county conservative. I know you just talked about maybe not using those terms, but with Metro, possibility of them coming in. And after you explained it, I looked into it a little more and what's happening in Portland and all the taxes they have to pay for this system and all the crime that surrounds the MAX system. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have a, you know, transportation system there, but we don't want their problems to become our problems. And by keeping our bus system the way it is, it keeps gangs from coming inside our county. Is there any concern that you have that there will be an open door for Metro now?
Metro, the regional government that encompasses Multnomah County, Clackamas County, Washington County, whenever you regionalize government, you take the authority away from the elected officials in your county, for instance, your county commissioners, your city council people, and you give it to another layer of government that has the power to tax you, which they do. Metro does, this regional government, and the power to basically destroy liberties. And our founders were clear. I think it was George Washington who said, government is like fire. It has the power to destroy if we don't keep it in check. And we're doing less and less of keeping it in check. So when it comes to regional government, I believe it is another layer of handlers telling us what we can do and paying them for that opportunity for them to tell us what to do. So no, I would be, and I said from the very beginning, working really hard to make sure that Metro stops at the county line, the other side of the county. Because as we see that Portland creep, we start to see the problems that are going on in Portland are not to be believed. What is being allowed, what is being promoted, what is happening to people who live there is the reason why people are just saying, throwing up their hands saying, I can't live here. Not to mention the the taxation and all of the, the programs which is, designed to supposedly feel good programs which do nothing but encourage lawlessness. And I think that if we can keep that mentality, Yamhill County, these are independent people. This is basically a farming community with the culture of helping other people and doing for ourselves. I've never seen anything, and I've lived in Clackamas County and I've lived in Multnomah County, but I have never seen the level of compassion and cohesiveness that I have seen in this county. They help out when there's a need. They care about their neighbors. They're smart about giving back to each other, and it's just an automatic response. I don't think we need to have a different culture here. I think we need to encourage the culture of contributing, which already exists here.
Yeah. So is there any fear now that the commissioners are slanted more liberal, that they might want a Metro here?
Well, it's not an issue before us at the moment. I don't know if it ever would become an issue and in what time period. All I know is I have, and of a board of commissioners of 3, I have 1 vote. It takes 1 more vote to pass something or make something fail. All I can do is be responsible for keeping true to what I said I was going to do, which has to do with keeping government limited and not raising taxes.
Okay. Well, you have, you're well-spoken too, and so
Thank you.
Hopefully some of that will rub off, on the other 2 if needed. And I haven't gotten a chance to really get to know them much myself, but I know that they view the world more differently than I do.
That's true.
How's things going with the bypass? Do you happen to know?
Well, sadly, we had 2 fatalities on the bypass this week, and it is, it's just tragic and really sad that we lost two relatively young men, and their families must be grieving. The bypass, as you know, this is phase one. It's going to continue money and plans. It's going to be a long time coming, but the process has begun. At least we have phase one done.
Okay. Yeah, there's been a lot of backup bottleneck traffic,
Yeah.
you know, at least here in Lafayette and other places. So overall, I'm very pleased with the bypass because it makes things overall easier.
Yeah.
But there's other issues now to address at this
Yeah.
point. So hopefully that'll happen, you know, in a fair amount of time.
Work in
So
progress.
yeah. Are we years away,
Oh, yes.
many years away from addressing anything?
Well, it's a question of funding.
Uh-huh.
It's a
Okay.
question of funding, and funding is a big, obviously you can't build roads and highways and infrastructure without massive amounts of money.
Right.
You know, massive amounts.
Yeah. Representative Noble, I did have a chance to talk to him a couple of days ago, actually, and he did say you were working on a project. Maybe that's what you were talking about. What I thought he was talking about was the
DHS?
DHS. Are you
Yes.
working on that too?
I am.
All right. Well, let's hear that.
So, as we know, or maybe a lot of people don't realize, that in the state of Oregon, we have issues related to how the child welfare program is run, meaning children taken away from their biological families, put into foster care. There was recently a Secretary of State's audit that showed that there were horrific abuses within the system, not only with the children involved, but with the bureaucracy and how that whole thing functioned. Terribly, terribly misguided and not doing a good job. So having been as a foster mentor and seeing that there are lots of kids and people coming to me telling me all these horror stories about what happens when they're, as foster parents, trying to deal with kids and deal with the system, I thought there's got to be something we can do. So trying to work it out at the state level, it didn't happen. You can't get anywhere. And I thought, if I can't get anywhere as an elected official at the county level, how are the parents who are struggling to raise special needs kids in a foster situation, how will they ever get any help?
Nightmare stories, and then also the kids that shouldn't have been taken away from their parents, abuse from the system itself.
That's right.
And
That's
there's nice people in there. I want to say that.
Lot of, but we've got caseworkers who are overworked,
Yeah.
people who really care about their jobs, but they have been basically set up to fail by a system which is just not addressing the needs of anybody in the system. So I decided that what we need to do is find a hybrid way, which is state money, county run, where we can take all of the wonderful resources we have in the county and deploy those to help our child welfare system be better than it is. It's kind of like we do with, you know, Medicaid money, which is Oregon Health Plan, Oregon Health Authority, gives money to the counties to have what's called CCOs, Coordinated Care Organizations. We dole out the Medicaid money. Why can't we do that, and the services? Why can't we do that with child welfare? So I've got Representative Noble working on a bill which would be a pilot project that any county that wants to, that has the resources, can start to do their own management of child welfare. We'll start to see more accountability. We'll start to see fewer kids going into foster care and fewer kids in placements they shouldn't be in, and then foster parents supported instead of being demonized by the system. In addition to that, we have a group of women we've hired to work on how to put together a plan of what it would look like if child welfare was run at the county level. And I can tell you, it's not something that the state wants to see happen, but I can tell you they are not doing a good job. We could do a good job. I've seen the kind of job we do with our other social services, and that's why I'm pushing from a number of different fronts to clean up the child welfare system, because it is not serving anybody.
That's right. You know, if the state isn't doing a good job, and if there's children suffering because of that, let's try something different.
Exactly.
You know, so pilot program, and is that going to happen, or is it something he's working on and he's hoping to pass with a supermajority of Democrats?
Well, he's hoping that, since DHS has told us flat out they're not interested,
Okay.
they told us it was off the table. So in other words, they aren't doing a good job. They don't need any help, but we can't step in and try to fix the problem. They don't want any help.
They just want the money. They want the benefits that come from.
They want to just administer the whole program.
Yeah.
So we're doing it, in other words, we're putting together a pilot program at the county level. He's trying to pass a piece of legislation which would be statewide. So on a number of different fronts, we're just going to tackle it from different
So
areas.
It is in operation here. It's going to be in operation here in the county level.
The pilot, a study on how to put together on how to, in other words, what we're studying now is what would it look like if we had all of the child welfare money? How would we do it at the county level? It's very complicated.
Yeah. So the study is the pilot program, but it's not going to be implemented unless we get permission from the legislator, the state.
And that's
overall.
why we're hoping for a bill to be passed. And if that doesn't work, then I think we just continue to push back and say, in our county, this is what's going to happen, and we're going to protect our kids. So I feel like I'm not going to take no for an answer. And every time I get a phone call from a frightened foster parent or from a terrified biological parent, and when I hear about these kids, and I think I am determined that to be told it cannot be done is not, it's not in my vocabulary.
Okay, good. I'll keep going. In the limited amount of time, can you mention Safe Kids again? We've talked about it.
Safe families.
Safe families.
See, one of the things you want to do is keep kids from even getting into foster care, because once they get in there, we lose them. So if you can take a kid who's in a family that's really threatened by being torn apart, whether the mom has to go to prison or the dad is unemployed and they just don't have a way to take care of the kids, state swoops in, takes the kid, good luck. But if we can support that family and keep the kid from having to go into the system, what that means is we have all these host families that have signed up through churches. It's called Safe Families in Yamhill County. They sign up. You say, you know what, I got a spare bedroom, or maybe I have a spare couch. If you've got some kiddos who might be in jeopardy of going into the system, let me watch them while mom and dad get their act together. You support the family. The other host families support the mom and dad. They go into parenting classes. They are helped with their issues, and the kid never leaves the custody, the legal custody of the parents. They can come and visit them, and they go back. They're whole. They haven't been traumatized, and the family is now supported going forward with an extended family that is what we used to do. We used to take care of each other as families when we had problems. Grandma helped with kids, and aunts and uncles helped. We don't have that anymore to a large degree.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to share before we
Just
talk off?
that I encourage people to stay aware of what's going on there, with their city councils, with county commission, with the state, because if you think that what these people are deciding doesn't affect you, before you know it, it does, and it's already too late. So politically aware, it's a good idea.
Yep, stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, she is doing a lot of good things, so please support her, and as she says, be aware of what's going on. Especially the kids, they need help more than anybody else. They're the most innocent among us. So, be aware, stay aware because of that, and support Commissioner Starrett, and also Representative Ron Noble, who's working on this. And if you have a representative that's not, in Yamhill County or outside our county, which most people watching are, get a hold of your representatives and say, hey, there's going to be something out there we need to support. So, and above all, pray for the people that are doing what's right, and pray for our kids, and pray that this thing gets taken care of. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good week. Bye-bye.